Good morning, guys. Good morning. Once again, welcome to South Africa Lately, a channel where we discuss South African trending news. We do, however, grab here and there from international news when it is trending enough to be brought here. The EFF dedicated its day yesterday, dragging the name of the late former minister Pravin Gordhan. So I want to know, who is Pravin Gordhan to you? Because we're seeing different reactions from different people and different political parties. So who is Pravin Gordhan to you? When you hear his name, what comes to your mind? So I'm going to share the tweets by many political leaders, by different political leaders and the political parties. So at the end of the day, you can tell that the progressive parties don't like the man, didn't like the man, and the other parties are for the man. So let us see what transpired on X, beginning with the EFF. So many posts from the EFF. I'm going to start on those ones and see what you think. EFF said, the EFF notes the death of Pravin Gordhan without any presence of sorrow. His legacy is one of destruction and betrayal of leading the collapse of South African state-owned enterprises. So you can let me know what you think of that one by the EFF. That's the first one. And when we move along, they say, Gordhan sold out our nation's assets to private interests, leaving workers and families to suffer. His greed fueled the collapse of Eskom, SAA, Transnet, and Danel, plunging the country into crisis. And the next one says, Gordhan will be remembered as an apologetic instrument of capitalism who left a trail of unemployment and poverty. He dies unpunished for his crimes, but the people will never forget the damage he caused. EFF continues to say, South African Airways SAA was almost sold to the Takatso Consortium for an insulting 51 rand, a deal that stands as one of the most scandalous betrayals of our national assets. Gordhan orchestrated this corrupt scheme deliberately, handing over a key public enterprise to private interests. The treacherous deal was designed in the shadows, avoiding public accountability, and its full extent remains hidden because Gordhan, deeply embedded in corruption, consistently evaded accountability to South Africa. Transnet was deliberately dismantled once the pride of Africa, with over 22,000 kilometers of rail, 7,500 wagons, and 4,500 locomotives, moving over 200 million tons of goods. It has been reduced to a shelf of its former self. This was not incompetence, it was sabotage. Today, Transnet barely moves 50 million tons of goods, and the enterprise is drowning in corruption. Fraud charges of over 34 million rand hang over its former executives, proving that this destruction was a deliberate betrayal of South Africa's people and economy. By 2023, load shedding had decimated township economies, with 60% of businesses forced to lay off workers and 7% collapsing entirely. This deliberate destruction of livelihoods was a direct result of Gordhan's gross mismanagement of Eskom and his betrayal of the working class. His failure plunged our communities into darkness, both literally and economically. That is the EFF, and they are doing this under the hashtag under Gordhan. What are your thoughts on the EFF statements? Continue to say, Danel, a once proud state-owned defense company, was brought to its knees, recording a loss of 463 million rand in the last financial year. Additionally, from the 2019 and 2020 to the 2023-2024 financial years, staff numbers plummeted by 60%, and as the company struggled to even pay salaries. They continue to say, Eskom, the nation's primary power utility, spent a staggering 64.78 billion rand on diesel over the last 5 years in a desperate attempt to plug the electricity generation gap. Yet Gordhan refused to disclose the details of the contract with suppliers, keep the public in the dark about whatever South Africa was being charged competitive prices or being charged premiums to enrich white monopoly capital. Yay! The EFF really dedicated its time in tracking the name of Pravin Gordhan. I'm questioning the timing though. The timing. Yeah. In 2023, the Ministry of Public Enterprise defied a court order demanding they protect hospitals, clinics, schools, and police stations from the brutal impacts of load shedding. This came in the wake of tragic deaths in the hospitals caused by the power cuts. Gordhan, however, turned a blind eye to the dire need for electricity in our schools, where children need light to learn, and in police stations crucial for the safety of South Africans. What do you think about all of this that the EFF is putting out today? The timing, is it correct? In 2023, South Africans endured a staggering 365 days of relentless load shedding out of the entire year. With only 30 days free from the crippling power outages. Gordhan's incompetence demonstrated a gross failure to safeguard the basic needs of the people. And they continue to say, under Pravin Gordhan, that's the hashtag there, you see, National Treasury exposed a staggering 771 million rand loss at South African Airways and a further 51 rand million deficit of SAA Technical earlier this year. What do you think about the timing of the EFF though? Is it the right time to be saying these things, or maybe after the funeral? 2018 marked the grim turning point where South Africans entered into stage load shedding. What began as occasional power cuts exploded into full-blown crisis of scheduled blackouts, moving from 141 hours of load shedding in 2018 to 6,947 hours in 2023. The South African Revenue Services SARS became infamous for its rogue unit, a tool wielded to target and persecute political opponents in service of white monopoly capital. Gordhan's creation of this nefarious unit exposed his role in weaponizing state institutions to uphold the interest of the elite. Gordhan was the embodiment of greed, corruption, and elitism. His tenure as a Minister of Public Enterprise was a period of unparalleled disaster to every state-owned enterprise he touched. Under his leadership, Eskom became a shadow of its former self. I still ask, what do you think so far about the EFF statements on? He said, plunging this country into a permanent state of load shedding while blackouts shattered livelihoods and businesses across the nation. Transnet, which once facilitated the efficient movement of goods, is now in ruins, barely able to function. Denel, a proud defense company, was brought to its knees, while SAA, our national airline, was sold off in a corrupt deal that reeks of treason. So what do you think of all that the EFF is saying? Do you think it's the right time? I still ask. And who is Pravin Gordhan to you? They continue to say the EFF rejects Cyril Ramaphosa's decision to grant Pravin Gordhan an official funeral. It is utter waste of state resources to offer such a tribute to a man whose commitment was never to the people of South Africa. To offer such a tribute to a man whose commitment was never to the people of South Africa, but to dismantling state assets and enriching himself and white monopoly capital. Who is Pravin Gordhan to you? I still say, because we are receiving mixed reactions from politicians Who is Pravin Gordhan to you as a South African citizen? Gordhan's legacy is marked by unprecedented load shedding, financial ruin of state enterprises, and a blatant disregard of the needs of ordinary South Africans. Do you agree with the EFF, I ask? And who is Pravin Gordhan to you as a citizen? To honor him with a state funeral is to insult the countless lives damaged by his failures. South Africans deserve justice, not glorification of those who have betrayed us. The EFF statements, we're moving right along with seeing what other people said. This one said, the mere fact that even today mentioning Comrade Pravin Gordhan triggers paid Twitter bots shows just how effective he was in combating state capture and corruption. Do you agree with this one? Do you agree, or you are with the EFF? So Julius said, I have absolutely nothing positive to say about this man, so let my silence speak my utter contempt for him and the terrible havoc that he has wreaked on our country. So what are your thoughts there? What are your thoughts? Who is former Minister Pravin Gordhan to you as a South African? So interestingly, KOKO MATSHELA also came through. He said the man who collapsed Eskom, Transnet and Denel and sold SAA for 51 rand is no more. The evil that men do lives after them. Interesting. He also continues to say nothing beats Friday the 13th is also still reacting to the passing of former Minister Pravin Gordhan. That made him look like a teenager, I must say, tweeting like that. All right. Also, he continues to say, and he translated below and said, when are the after tears? Hi guys, this looks like, I don't know. Anyway, moving right along. Reditabi said, being hated by EFF South Africa is a huge compliment all the time. That's my tweet, and I believe he's reacting to what the EFF is saying about the former minister Pravin Gordhan. So I do believe he's still in line with that, because the EFF dedicated his day tracking the former minister. FLOYD SHIVAMBU said, the Cabal Rock unit Takatso dots gone. Yo, guys. No, the progressive parties, I disagreed with Pravin Gordhan politically. We saw the emancipation economically of our people from different lenses and strategy. We shared a stage before his passing, and we had very good things to say about each other. You have made your contribution. Thank you. And Mbalula, that was the Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, MCKENZIE. He also shared some photos of them there, which I didn't bring here. So you can see how he knows that they had disagreements, but he was decent in addressing that. So Fikile Mbalula came through and said, Pravin Gordhan, what a man, what a cater, what a servant of the people. When I heard about PG's passing, I was filled with a profound sense of sadness. I also think he's coming in defense of the former minister's image as is being dragged by the EFF. He said, PG was cruel to be kind. He didn't suffer fools. With him, you knew where you stood. He was loyal and shaped many people's careers. So by so doing, I do believe that Fikile Mbalula was defending the image of the former minister Pravin Gordhan against the progressive parties, because they were coming in hard. They were coming in hard against him. Imagine a man that is already gone. A lot of good and bad things will be said about him, but as a Betty proverb says, dogs don't bark at a stationary bike. So I think it's everybody's saying. It is bad that after giving his entire life to public service, his demise comes so soon after the retirement, just when he was supposed to retire and enjoy time with his wife and grandchildren. So really, Mbalula is doing his job as an ANC cadre in defending one of their own, making sure that his image stays intact against those who are dragging it. He continues to say, indeed, death is a thief. His contribution to our country and the struggles for freedom is indelible, and he did more good than the mistakes he committed. In any event, to err is human, but when then his actions were in good faith. Yeah, there he recognizes the mistakes that the former Minister Pravin may have made, but he was doing them in good faith. May your soul rest in peace, cadre of cadres, a compatriot, a soldier, a true vanguard of the revolution. He belongs to the ages. So what do you think of that? Do you think Fikile Mbalula is just doing his job? And people brought in an old video of Fikile Mbalula to just put in light what he used to say about Pravin Gordhan, meaning now he's just brushing it off because he doesn't want to tell the truth. There was a time he was standing on the truth. What are your thoughts? Let us watch that.
Ex-former Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan.
Pravin Gordhan must not use the name of the ANC to promote anarchy in South Africa. He must form his own political party. If he's fed up of the ANC, we will meet each other toe for toe.
Justice Malala said courage is speaking up and acting when it is needed. Before 1994, Pravin Gordhan fought apartheid. In the tragic 2010s, he spoke up against state capture, Jacob Zuma, the Guptas, and the looting of SA. Pravin Gordhan had courage. Hero hamba kahle mkhonto. That was Justice Malala. I don't know what you know Justice Malala for, but I know him for journalism. Derek Hanekom said, dogs do not bark at stationary bike. They will be slandered by a handful of defenders of corruption. Millions will honor this man's incredible legacy. So the cadres are coming through there defending one of their own. So let us see what others said. This one, I don't know who this one is, but he said, Comrade MCKENZIE Jonas says Pravin Gordhan diverted from the ANC and its alliance partners' culture when he mobilized society against Jacob Zuma in his fight against state capture. He says, had it not been for Gordhan, Zuma would still be in power.
The most difficult thing for any activist, it is when you stand against your comrades. It is when you have to confront the ills and wrongs that your own comrades are doing. And many of us falter in that task because many of us look away and not confront the challenge of correcting the wrongs of our own. And PG taught us one thing, that at moments when principle matters, we have to stand. PG was so focused on trying to deal with issues of corruption, to deal with issues of misdirection of the African National Congress and the country. He was still focused on ensuring that the country is brought back to the central path of dealing with all the political, social, and economic morals that the country was going through. My last point is, PG was a mobilizer. And what constitutes society? I tell you now, within no time, PG was in the forefront, going out of ANC structures, going out of the normal alliance structures to mobilize society against state capture, to mobilize society on a new agenda for strengthening and deepening democracy in this country. I can tell you now, with no fear of contradiction, that if PG didn't do that, the Guptas will still be in power. Oh, sorry, JZ will be still in power.
ANC itself came out to say ANC Parliamentary Caucus mourns the passing of one of longest serving members of Parliament, Comrade Pravin Gordhan. And we also saw other political parties as well joining in recognizing the passing of former minister. Action SA said Action SA extends condolences to the family of the former Minister of Public Enterprise, Pravin Gordhan. He was a long-term public worker who made a significant impact on South Africa's political and economic environment during a 50-year period. And also we saw the post Pravin Gordhan. His steadfast commitment to fighting corruption and state capture will forever be remembered. May his soul rest in peace. So I ask again, so as a South African, not a politician, as an ordinary South African, who is the former minister Pravin Gordhan to you? Do you agree with the political parties that he destroyed South African economy, or you are for the ones that says he saved us from looting during the former President Zuma's era? Did he do a great service to South Africans, or you agree with the ones that say he served the interest of the white monopoly capital and lived to serve himself and make himself rich? And with that set aside, thank you for watching my videos, and may his soul continue to rest in peace.